Hi kids, and welcome to Disney Animation Reviews. I'm Josiah Melky.
And I'm Jordan Melky. And sorry about the light problem.
We're having a little electricity problem here in the basement, so we're moving to a space with more light. You can see behind this is our game cabinet. Usually we do this in front of our movie cabinet, but today the game cabinet just has more light. Anyway, let's continue our talk about the Disney Renaissance. After Beauty and the Beast was a big hit, 1992 mostly brought live-action disappointments for Disney. Films like Newsies and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, the sequel to Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, starring Rick Moranis. Things looked up a little bit, still bad with critical reviews, but good at the box office with Disney's October 92 release, The Mighty Ducks, starring Emilio Estevez, which went on to have 2 theatrical sequels in 94 and 96 respectively, and an animated Saturday morning cartoon series from 97 to 98, where the Mighty Ducks, the characters, were actual animated ducks.
Wow.
1992 also had the premieres of the TV shows Goof Troop, starring Goofy and his son Max, and the Little Mermaid TV series. And also in 1992, we had the opening of Disney's first international theme park, Euro Disneyland, or as it was later retitled, Disneyland Paris. And Disney's Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World got its live nighttime musical spectacular, Fantasmic.
Wow.
Today we're talking about Disney's 31st animated feature film, Aladdin. Songwriter Howard Ashman wrote the original draft of Aladdin in 1988.
Okay.
And then a few years later, after they finished Little Mermaid, John Musker and Ron Clements were brought on board to write, direct, and produce the film. But it was only after Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio rewrote the script that Jeffrey Katzenberg finally approved of production. Aladdin was released to theaters for Thanksgiving 1992, coming off a year after Beauty and the Beast, and just a few weeks before Disney's other holiday feature film for 92, Disney's first Muppets feature film, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
I'm sure you know the story by Charles Dickens.
But Muppet Christmas Carol is basically the same story, with the Muppets in the supporting roles, and starring Michael Caine as Scrooge. But today we're talking about Aladdin. Released to theaters for Thanksgiving 1992, and of course, having a lot riding on it following the big success of Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin went on to gross more than $200 million in America. No other animated feature film before had done that. Not even Beauty and the Beast reached that height. Aladdin's also the first animated feature film in history to reach the $500 million mark at the worldwide box office. So, about $500 million.
Wow.
It also got really good reviews, and like Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, was big during awards season. Before we get to accolades and all that, let's talk about the movie itself.
Okay.
Aladdin was a childhood favorite of mine growing up, and it still is today. After a prologue where we meet our narrator, who tells us about the magic lamp with the genie inside, and we get our introductions to our bad guys, Jafar and Iago, we're introduced to our main hero, Aladdin himself, voiced by Scott Weinger, singing voice, Brad Kane.
Now, from the behind the scenes, it seems that Scott was a teenager at the time.
And they actually went through a couple different ideas on what Aladdin was gonna look like. Originally, he looked much younger, like Michael J. Fox or something. But they thought that Princess Jasmine looked kind of like Julia Roberts, and Katzenberg was like, no, we can't pair a Michael J. Fox lookalike and a Julia Roberts lookalike. It doesn't make sense. So they redesigned Aladdin to look more like Tom Cruise. That made sense to Katzenberg. Anyway, in the story, Aladdin's a street urchin who, along with his pet monkey and sidekick, Abu, steals food so he can survive. Gotta eat to live, gotta steal to eat. That's his motto.
Yeah, he's kind of a Robin Hood parody.
Right, because after his introductory song, where he's just run for his life after stealing a loaf of bread, we see he also has a good heart because he's willing to give up what he steals to other kids who are poor and might need it more.
Yeah.
Aladdin dreams of what it would be like to live in a palace, so he could escape the problems he's got out on the streets. Meanwhile, at the palace, we meet the Sultan of Agrabah, voiced by the late Douglas Seal, and his daughter, Princess Jasmine, voiced by Linda Larkin. Singing voice, Lea Salonga. Do you want to talk about Jasmine, or should I?
I will.
Alright.
Now, Jasmine, she's a very big step up from Ariel and Belle, because she's headstrong and rebellious, but she just wants more out of life than just being the princess she is. She has a beautiful singing voice, and her problem is her dad wants her to get married by her 16th birthday, but Jasmine doesn't want to marry a prince. And she tells her father, if I do marry, I want it to be for love.
Later that night, Jasmine sneaks out beyond the palace walls to see what life is like beyond palace life. She gets into trouble for stealing from a apple vendor, but Aladdin steps in to save her. I never really thought about this until my friend Rachel Ladner pointed it out in her review, was how does Jasmine not understand the concept of payment? Growing up in a castle, she should know about things like money and stuff. Anyway, Jasmine and Aladdin, I like their chemistry. They're, I think, the first Disney couple that really connects to each other, and they don't like each other just because the other's handsome/cute. You know, like some of the Disney prince and princess couples we've been seeing, like Ariel and Prince Eric.
Yeah. They connect, cause Jasmine just feels trapped in the palace walls.
And Aladdin feels trapped out on the streets, having to fend for himself, wishing he could have a better life.
Sometimes you're just... trapped.
Right. Anyways, after they've connected, Aladdin gets in trouble with the palace guards, and although Jasmine tries to save him, and goes to talk to Jafar about it, he lies to her saying he's already been executed, but of course he lies, because later that night, Jafar sneaks into the dungeon disguised as a beggar and tells Aladdin about the Cave of Wonders, convincing him and Abu to help him recover a magic lamp, and then Aladdin can have all the treasure he wants. So Aladdin and Abu go to the Cave of Wonders, where they meet the magic carpet. Interesting story about the carpet is he's actually hand-drawn, but then his pattern was animated on the computers, making him a 2D and 3D character. With the help of the magic carpet, they find the lamp, but thanks to Abu's mischievousness, they end up getting trapped in the cave. Luckily, they're the ones who end up with the lamp, and not Jafar, and this is where they meet the genie, voiced by the one and only Robin Williams. The genie is the true highlight of the picture, and we owe a great deal of that to Robin Williams and his celebrity impressions. When they first cast Williams for the part, they had no idea how much improv he was going to give them. The man was a genius. He could make people laugh for hours, and that was the challenge for the animators, was taking what Williams gave them and animating it to make it look good.
Yes, and Robin Williams is actually one of our mom's favorite actors. He's been in a number of films.
He is absolutely wonderful. The genie tells Aladdin he can have 3 wishes, but he can't wish to have more wishes.
Right.
Aladdin manages to trick him into rescuing him and Abu from the cave without using up a wish, and then Aladdin and Genie become the best of friends, with Aladdin when the genie reveals that he wants to be free, because part of being a genie is you have amazing powers, but you don't have your own freedom.
Right. He ain't able to live in space.
He and Aladdin make a deal that after Aladdin makes his first 2 wishes, he'll use his 3rd wish to set the genie free. For his first wish, Aladdin wishes to be turned into a prince, so he can rightfully win the heart of Princess Jasmine. So the genie transforms him into Prince Ali Ababa, and Aladdin goes back to Agrabah on Abu, who gets transformed into an elephant.
Kind of Dumbo-esque.
Yeah, sort of. When trying to woo Jasmine as Prince Ali doesn't work, Aladdin just becomes himself, but still keeping the prince disguise, and manages to win her heart with a magic carpet ride. And then the rest of the film follows Aladdin as he tries to win the heart of the princess and keep his promise to Genie, while at the same time Jafar and Iago also want the lamp, and will stop at nothing to steal it away from Aladdin.
Oof.
Jafar is definitely a true villain. He's the Sultan's royal vizier, but he's secretly plotting to take control of the kingdom, and the Sultan doesn't even realize it.
And Iago, his sidekick, is so funny!
Yeah, before we get to Iago, Jafar is voiced by Jonathan Freeman, who is absolutely fantastic in the role. He gives Jafar a real theatrical performance, which makes sense because Freeman comes from a background in theater. But aside from the genie, Iago, the parrot, Jafar's sidekick, is absolutely hilarious. Gilbert Gottfried, when he got cast in the part, he really made the character all his own. Like Robin Williams, Gilbert Gottfried gave the filmmakers some really funny ad-libs. I think my favorite moment with Gilbert Gottfried as Iago is when they escape to Jafar's lair after Aladdin has exposed them, and that they've been trying to overthrow the Sultan, Iago decides they need to leave, and he says, start packing, Your Highness! All the essentials, we gotta travel light, bring the guns, the weapons, the And how about this picture? I don't know. I think I'm making a weird face in it. Sorry, just trying to add some of my own ad lib to impersonate how funny that is.
Yeah, that is funny.
Anyway, so Jafar and Iago, great villains. Iago's absolutely hilarious. The genie really steals the show with all his impressions and everything. I think probably my favorite is when he transforms his head into that of Pinocchio's.
Yep, see, that's him right there.
Great voice talent on Aladdin. Scott Weinger, Linda Larkin, Robin Williams, Jonathan Freeman, Gilbert Gottfried, Aladdin Jasmine's singing voices, all great actors. John Musker and Ron Clements, wonderful job with the directing, just like Little Mermaid.
Yep.
And the songs and the score, actually an interesting story about those is, for a while it was Alan Menken and Howard Ashman from Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Ashman passed away before the film was finished, and that's when they brought in Tim Rice. Howard and Tim each wrote 3 songs for the film, and Alan composed all of them. Howard wrote the opening song, Arabian Nights, the Genie's introductory song, Friend Like Me, which is probably my personal favorite, and the Prince Ali song. Prince Ali was another showcase of Williams' comedic genius with all his Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade references.
Yep.
And then Tim Rice wrote the other 3, Aladdin's introductory song, One Jump Ahead, Aladdin and Jasmine's love ballad, A Whole New World, which of course won the Oscar.
Yep.
And Jafar's reprise of Prince Ali.
When he reveals Aladdin for who he truly is.
They tried getting an actual villain song for Jafar, and unfortunately all they could get was a reprise of Prince Ali. All great songs. Just like Mermaid and Beast, Aladdin won the Oscars for Best Score and Best Original Song for Whole New World, with additional nominations for Best Song for Friend Like Me, and nominations for Best Sound and Best Sound Editing.
Oh.
And Robin Williams won a Special Achievement Golden Globe Award for his voice work as the genie. Honestly, I really can't say much more about Aladdin. This is one you should definitely watch if you haven't seen it already. It is that good. Trust me, you will not be sorry.
Yeah.
Wish I could say the same for Aladdin's franchise, but let's just talk about it and get it out of the way. So, shortly after Aladdin hit home video, Disney started going into the direct-to-video market, which means they would release follow-ups to films that didn't... the original films went to theaters, but the sequels went straight to DVD, because it made it cheaper that way.
Yeah.
Aladdin was the first of its kind to have that, with the direct-to-video sequel, The Return of Jafar, released in spring of 1994. Picking up shortly after the first movie, Jafar and Iago return, but Iago chooses not to free Jafar from his genie lamp. Because if you've watched the first movie, you know that Jafar transforms into a genie at the end, and it becomes his undoing. Iago is caught between becoming friends with Aladdin, Jasmine, Genie, and everybody else, or helping Jafar get rid of Aladdin. Most of the original voice cast comes back, plus we have a new villain, Jafar's new sidekick, Abi Small, voiced by Seinfeld co-star Jason Alexander, who later voiced Hugo the Gargoyle in Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Notably, one recast for Return of Jafar was Dan Castellaneta from The Simpsons as the genie. Because unfortunately, Disney went back on a deal with Robin Williams about merchandising for the first movie, and Williams wasn't too pleased with that. Castellaneta also voiced the genie in the Aladdin TV series that followed, where Aladdin and his friends went on different adventures and battled new villains. The series concluded with Aladdin and the King of Thieves, another direct-to-video follow-up released summer 1996. And as the box clearly tells us, this time Robin Williams returns to voice the genie. Because Jeffrey Katzenberg had gotten kicked out of Disney Studios before Lion King came to theaters. And his successor, Joe Roth, one of the first things he did was arrange a public apology to Williams. Williams forgave Disney and agreed to return to voice the genie for King of Thieves. King of Thieves is one of my favorites, actually. Aladdin and Jasmine are finally getting married, but the 40 thieves barge in on them and ruin the ceremony, which then leads Aladdin to discover his father, Cassim, is still alive and is actually the King of Thieves. So Aladdin goes to find his father and bring him back in time for him to marry Jasmine. Cassim is voiced by John Rhys Davies, singing voice Merwin Fard, and with Jafar gone at this point, the main villains are the 40 thieves. The big baddie being Saluk, voiced by the late Jerry Orbach, the voice of Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
If you're gonna watch an Aladdin sequel, maybe just watch them both back to back, but King of Thieves, I think, is the better one, largely because Robin Williams is back in that one. So, like Little Mermaid, Aladdin had a TV series and 2 direct-to-video follow-ups, but Aladdin also does one-up on Little Mermaid, because Aladdin characters also guest starred on an episode of the Hercules TV series.
Oh.
And Jasmine had a new story in the 2007 direct-to-DVD release, Disney Princess Enchanted Tales. If you saw my Sleeping Beauty review, you know that that one also has a new Sleeping Beauty story, but we already talked about that on the Sleeping Beauty review. In the Jasmine story, Jasmine is tired and bored of her usual princess duties and wants to show more responsibility, and gets her chance when her father's prized horse, Sahara, goes missing, and she sets off with Abu, Iago, and Carpet to bring him back.
Jasmine also guest starred on Sophia the First, Two to Tango,
where she helped Sophia and Amber tame a wild flying carpet and help them escape out of a garden so they could get to a friend's palace for a party.
And she has a new song, Ride of Your Lives,
which also includes a cameo by her and Aladdin's magic carpet. Aladdin also, like Mermaid, Beast, and Lion King before it, and some other Disney films, Aladdin spawned a Broadway musical that debuted in spring of 2013, starring James Monroe Iglehart as the genie, who won a Tony for Best Actor for his work in the musical.
And the one actor from the movie that returned was Jonathan Freeman as Jafar.
The musical features the songs from the original film by Menken, Ashman, and Rice, but also features songs by Menken and Ashman that didn't make it into the original film.
One of which was Proud of Your Boy.
Which means they also brought back deleted characters, Aladdin's 3 human friends, Babcock, Omar, and Cassim. And then they had some new songs by a guy named Chad Bagelin, who also wrote the book for the musical.
Oh.
A live-action remake of Aladdin, directed by Guy Ritchie. If you don't know who that is, he's the guy who directed the live-action Sherlock Holmes films from 2009 and 2011. The live-action Aladdin is set for release next spring, starring Will Smith as the genie.
Woo!
Can't wait to see what he does with this character. They're supposed to use the original songs again, along with new songs by Alan Menken and the Oscar-winning songwriters of La La Land, Pazak and Paul. So we'll see how that one goes. The live-action Beauty and the Beast was decent, but I get the feeling the live-action Aladdin will be slightly better.
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait till end of May 2019 when it comes out to find out. Yeah. The animated Aladdin film's latest home video release was its Diamond Edition Blu-ray and DVD combo pack release in fall of 2015. With old bonus features including deleted scenes and songs, including Proud of Your Boy, and a couple of original songs they came up with for Jafar, audio commentaries, there's 2 now, a 70-minute behind-the-scenes feature, music videos, I'm pretty sure they have Disney Song Selection, which we've seen many times before, and a feature on composer Alan Menken and his music. New bonus features include outtakes from recording sessions with Robin Williams as the genie, a feature where Scott Weinger, the voice of Aladdin, talks about the genie, a feature where the directors, John Musker and Ron Clements, reflect on their friendship over the years and making these Disney films, a Fun Facts feature hosted by Joey Bragg from Disney Channel's Liv and Maddie, and a behind-the-scenes look at Aladdin on Broadway. So that's our thoughts on Aladdin. What more can I say on this movie? Better I stop yakking about it, and you go check it out for yourself. But I think you'll really like this one. It is that good. And it really is a shame that Robin Williams, the voice of the genie, it's already been 4 years since he passed away.
Yeah, it was sad. Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks. Always remember,
when you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Goodbye!